Well, hello and welcome to the stream. Let's kind of see what we can get into. We're going to do a little bit of this somewhere in time. Enjoy the stream.
Stay late. Here's Dr. Malachi Martin. For a very long time, I've been on a search for some sort of proof of life after death. Here is somebody who calls himself Zero. Zero, are you there? It's one of the biggest UFO sighting of the century. You want to know on the networks. Many times, unsure of himself. The question of Haiti, for example, I thought Jack did not answer that well. And Al Gore came back very well indeed. The first 45 minutes of the debate on tax policy, my guess would be a lot of you turned it off during that time. Only about 27% of the American people agree with the tax policy. In my opinion, this whole campaign, Dole campaign, has been mishandled to the point of almost considering it a thrown election. I know that's a very serious charge, but it's what I feel. There is only one very serious area of Clinton weakness. Mr. Clinton is weak when it comes to the issues of honesty, integrity, character, personal things, but non-trivial. The Dole campaign had to find a way, either through Bob Dole or at least through Jack Kemp, to begin to enter this area of criticism and had to begin to make it an issue. And they have, for whatever reason, decided to completely avoid the area. Now, I know that then would be a sign of trying to take the high road, but the high road when you're 21 points down is not going to get you to your destination at all. It's going to have you as a footnote in the history books with regard to elections, and that's exactly where this campaign is headed. I thought that for a long time, and I think more than ever tonight. And I'm not exactly going to really make the charge of they're throwing the election, because that implies a conscious intent to do it, and I don't really feel that. But it certainly has been mishandled. So as far as I'm concerned, Al Gore won the debate. Jack Kemp lost it. Of all the people that should have been able to debate well, Jack Kemp is that person. He didn't. He had a very bad day. He seemed unsure of himself. I've seen Jack Kemp be incredibly effective. This was not one of his days. There is one more presidential debate, and we'll see what happens. But I do not have high hopes. Here is the facts. It's typical of what I receive. I want to express my disappointment with the attempt to face-off tonight. In all honesty, the Republican Party is dead for the next 4 years. As a Republican, I was more impressed with Al Gore, his general demeanor, his attention to Kemp as Kemp spoke, his articulation, his responding directly to those questions posed by Mr. Leader, where Kemp rambled on in redundancy. To the majority of Americans, we will live to see Clinton Gore, let's say, for another term. The only way for a Dole Kemp presidency is a down and dirty fight nationally to expose Clinton's character, past and present. We have the ammunition, and a decision not to pursue this course of action is the death of Dole Kemp. For them to take the high road as they trail in double digits will be devastating to our party, as all losers are quickly forgotten and never forgiven. They must run the race with every intent to win at whatever the cost. Rudy in Phoenix, and I agree with you, of course, Rudy. So I'll just leave it at that. It is no different than I expected it to be. How about you? A federal judge has upheld a contempt citation, the one that put Susan Google in the pokey last month for refusing to testify about the president's role in the Whitewater saga. The Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals has rejected McDougal's complaint that her constitutional rights were violated when a district judge found her in contempt of court, sent her to jail about a month ago. The first U.S. troops are leaving Bosnia. However, there are 5,000 going in, and they are going to stay until springtime. I'm not sure of which year. It seems clear to me that we are going to stay now in Bosnia for some time to come. Now, it is another presidential promise violated, clearly. But again, for some unknown reason, and I'm very hesitant to charge throwing the election because I'm pretty sure that's not what's going on. But this Dole camp seems unwilling to go after the Clinton administration on any of the things that I've heard so many of you complain so bitterly about. Period. Period. So the effect is a lost election, if not a tossed election. Israel and the Palestinians are getting nowhere fast, and I think it's only a matter of time until it turns into a big conflict and maybe more. And I guess that's the news, the hard news. There's really not a whole hell of a lot more going on. It was the debate night, and I just told you the way I think the debates turned out. You may not feel that way. I've got a kind of a worrisome story here, and I'm going to read it to you. It concerns our old friend Madman Markham. I got a call the other day from a writer, Ovetta Sampson, for the St. Joseph News Press, and she was going to write one last story, I think, leaving that newspaper. She was going to write one last story and wanted to write about Madman. So she asked me for a couple of comments. I gave them to her. And I also gave her Madman's contact number. And she went away and wrote her article. I got a copy of that article today. I'm going to read it to you. Madman Markham is an affectionate name that I gave to Mike Markham, who thought he was building a time machine. I'll just read this to you as it is. The headline is T-minus 30 counter. Hopeful time traveler appears on talk radio to tout near success. Northwest Missouri's premier expert on time travel has garnered national attention from radio's king of the supernatural. It's not Bell. Mike Markham arrested last year for stealing electrical transformers to build a time machine, resurfaced recently, this time as a caller on a late-night talk show. 2 weeks ago, the 23-year-old Markham told Mr. Bell he was 30 days away from making the time machine work. Calling from Toronto, I returned a call. On Tuesday, Mr. Bell said that he had promised Madman, that's always a quote, Madman, he'd fly to St. Joseph to document the historic event. If he's going to do it, we're going to videotape it, the overnight host said without a hint of laughter. That's right, I didn't laugh. Indeed, told her, come videotape it. Apparently, Mr. Markham has gotten better at his electrical wizardry in the years since his arrest in Gentry County. Al Brown, now get this, folks. Al Brown, a landlord of the Time Wizard, said, quote, he set a cat a block away, end quote. Yikes! When did Madman do that? He set a cat a block away, according to the landlord. But alas, in June, after Mr. Markham burned out the air conditioning unit in his midtown apartment and zapped the electricity out of the building, Mr. Brown said he did not renew his lease. Well, I had no idea Madman had reached the cat stage. I wonder where the cat set a block away. Anyway, continuing, Mr. Markham was set to build his own transformers and received materials from a major auto manufacturing company. Has since disappeared. Friends say they haven't seen him in 2 weeks. Perhaps he was ahead of his 30-day schedule and didn't take the time to tell anyone. Oh my. So apparently there was quite a bit I didn't know. It was about that long ago, just about that long ago that I covered Madman last. And now I find out he didn't tell me any of this. Remember in the last interview? He sent a cat a block away. Now maybe he wouldn't tell me because he knows how I feel about cats. Guess the cat can. But I had no idea he blew the air conditioning unit. At it again, zapped the electricity out of the building altogether. Got booted out of where he was living. And has not been seen. So there may be some reason to worry about what he has done. You don't suppose he would have gone ahead? Well, he must have. And the reason I say that is because you may recall Madman promised me his hand on the Time Traveler's Manual that he would go until he first told me. When he got to that stage, I had no idea he had begun transporting mammals in this thing. And I certainly had no idea that he managed to fling a cat 1 block. That's incredible. And now I can't locate him. So your guess at this point is as good as mine. And I'm afraid if I had to guess, my guess might be that Madman has gone and died. And I wasn't there with a camera. So there you are. You may have comments on that. I'm shocked. A good day to you, sir. My name is Gunnar Smith, and I'm located in the city of Reykjavik, Iceland. This is email. My mother, Catherine, told me a lot about your radio program, which she listens to every morning, and she does her favors. I've tried quite frequently to call you on the phone, but haven't been able to get through yet. International line. I got your email address yesterday, decided to mail you instead. My mom told me you were interested in the volcanic activity, which is taking place here in Iceland, and searching for somebody who's got some information about it. I'll give you the email version of what's going on. The eruption is taking place beneath the names of glacier that I cannot possibly hope to pronounce, which is the biggest glacier in Europe. The thickness of the ice on top of the eruption is estimated to be 600 to 700 meters. That's a lot of ice. And it only took about 24 hours to melt through it. Right now, it's mainly steam coming out of a hole through the ice, understandable, and a bit of ash. Not too much yet. The ashfall, if break, could cause sickness in sheep. Their bones would grow more than normal. I don't have any details on that sickness, other than that with bones. Anyway, all the ice that melts becomes water. And of course, the water has to go somewhere. Just south of the eruption, there are two other craters, volcanic, and they every now and then gather a lot of water. When the water level has risen enough, then the water flows from underneath the glacier, underneath it, and over vast areas of sand, and goes to the sea not far from the roots. Right now, the water from the eruption place has gone into these two craters, and they've got more water than ever before, and experts are stunned by the fact that a flood has not yet begun. 2 days ago, the amount of water that had gone into the craters was just about 1 cubic kilometer, and today I don't know what the amount is. So the status is a short report. Eruption is still going on beneath the glacier. Waters gathering rapidly is expected to flood forward with enormous power, damage bridges and land. So we're going to keep an eye on that story of the erupting volcano beneath a glacier. Greetings, Mr. Bell. On CNN's website, there is a story under the Earth section about deformed frogs in the Midwest. Some have 4 hind legs. Some have stumps. Some have tails. They're having trouble finding an area with normal frogs. He signs more frog legs for all dug in Lincoln, Nebraska. 4 hind legs, some have stumps, some have tails, and they are having difficulty now finding any normal frogs. Now, I'm not an environmental expert, that's on board. But are frogs an indicator species? You tell me. Does it bother you that people are having trouble finding normal frogs? You might want to take a look at the CNN webpage. I'd like to see a picture of one of those frogs. Maybe I wouldn't. Coast to coast AM sure sounds great in the middle of the night, but you don't have to be nocturnal to enjoy this amazing show. The Coast Insider is your key to a normal life. For 15 cents a day, you can wake up refreshed, knowing that last night's show is waiting for you on the podcast. The Coast Insider Club is a must-have feature for all Coast to Coast AM listeners. Visit coasttocoastam.com to sign up today. A new version of the Coast to Coast AM app is here, now available for Android as well as iPhone. For Coast Insiders, it offers the ability to download the most recent shows so you can listen to them at your leisure. The new app also has listen live and streaming features, plus recaps, contents, and upcoming show info. Coast Insiders with Android System 4.0 and above or iPhone. Check out our new app at the Google Play or iTunes stores, or a link from the Coast website. Looking for the truth? You'll find it on Coast to Coast AM. A couple of things I'm considering is, I've got a fade here with Howard Phillips and Harry Brown. That should at least be lively and interesting. Now occur. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. I've got to tell you what I think. Not I'm not a cheerleader. I'm here trying to give you my honest opinion. And it is that Al Gore clearly won. Not that it was all that great, it's that Jack Kemp wasn't. It's the direction that campaign has chosen, and it was boring. When it had to pick a winner, Al Gore was clearly the winner. Al Gore on top of his game, articulate, as usual, boring. I don't watch Al Gore very much on the interview shows because he's so damn boring to listen to. I just don't listen to him. But the entire strategy of the Dole campaign is beyond me, and it's certainly beyond winning. So there you are. That's my assessment. Not my wish, not my hope, just what I consider to be reality. Weston Rockies, you're on the air. Good morning. Oh, hi there.
I don't know if you kind of dismissed me because I brought up that one person was claimed to have gone up in the station.
No, he did. I'm well aware of that.
Well, when I called you a couple months ago, you said you dismissed me.
No, I didn't. I was aware of it, and you were just simply stating the obvious. I know that he claimed that. I've watched the speeches, sir. I saw what he said.
Oh, okay.
That's it. All right, that's it, I guess. I'm sorry. I just I noted that you were correct. That was the end of the conversation. I mean, he did. He did indeed claim that. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hello.
Yes, thank you, Wyatt.
Please do. Yes, get it off right away.
Have you the strength of character to accept a mild rebuke and then enter
Rebuke all you want.
dialogue?
Go right ahead.
All right. I was listening yesterday. You were very disappointed that only 20 Republicans voted on the anti-gun voted against it.
Yes, that's true.
At least the Democrats who claim to have gun control as a principle voted their
That's right.
Okay, but you never really made it clear that the Republicans who claim that their principle is to preserve, protect, and defend the Second Amendment is not.
I thought I made it abundantly
No,
clear.
you got the point in that, but you never really said.
Sir. I said specifically. I said when it gets to the point where a political party, abandons its core ideology, which is what the Republicans did when they voted that way, then it's all over, and there is no difference between parties in my estimation whatsoever. Now, how much more clear could that be?
Now let's go into the dialogue. Just now, offhandedly, you said something about Al Gore, and in quotes practically, the environmentalists. What could it have been? Dan Quayle, the environmentalist?
No, I simply noted a fact. Al Gore considers himself an environmentalist, a technocrat.
The fact that you have admitted, you conceded rather, in the election, you still have not. I mean, you get in a thing here to Democrats every time.
I simply, oh, I see where you're coming from now. I simply stated the obvious.
Let's say with it again, because I won't call again for another month. Madman Markham sounds like some of those old rock goblins, gigantic books of short science fiction tales, a big book of the treasury.
Now, did you ever I know.
On the other side, and I'll close with this.
Did you ever hear that man when I had my
Yes, I did. I had a little show.
Can you believe this newspaper article? Wow.
Okay, good publicity. Let me
I
close
don't
with
know about that.
I said this before to you, if you the one or two times. I'm on FPL, by the way, to tell
Okay, WFPL. All right, Joe.
and it's been a pleasure for 3 months. So I'll say that not in oh God, you, that Alexander came on all the time with kids. Not since the man who really was pleasure and peddling water, and I can't remember who the great, the man who originally opened the door to these coasts. I mean, I heard education. I think it was on WOR.
What is you trying to say?
I'm just trying to say you're as good as there has ever been at night, especially in discussing or street subjects.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That's funny. It's an area of intense interest for me, so I do it. I found this article shocking. A cat. Oh, cat. Gone an entire block. I hadn't heard anything about this. More electrical experiments got him tossed out. I hadn't heard about that. And now a disappearance. I would say, all things considered, while something in the article might be wrong, she did the investigation, and as soon as I read the article, I tried to get in touch with the madman, no luck. So, I don't know. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello. Going once, going twice, gone. West of the Rockies, you are on the air. Good morning.
Hi, Sharon. Good morning.
Good morning, Sharon. Yes.
I tuned in just as you were ending your conversation about the frogs.
Yes.
I moved here to Tucson almost 4 years ago from Omaha, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting. There was an article in the paper there. Do you remember the bad floods the Midwest had, even when the Mississippi connected with the Missouri? All right. It was about 6 months after those floods that they started finding all these deformed frogs. And professionals in the area had it figured that the floods washed all the chemicals and whatnot that the farmers were putting on all the crops in the mid-state.
That's possible.
And they figured that this is what was causing the deformity in all the frogs that were being found. They were finding two-headed frogs.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and this was something that was not normal, and this was their conclusion.
Well, that's awful. I appreciate your call. In other words, the pesticides and chemicals, and I suppose that is a reasonable opinion to hold. I have caused these deformed frogs. I would hope that would be true as opposed to the alternative, which might be something larger and more ominous. Either way, it's not good. They say they're having a hard time finding normal frogs out there. Well, that's not a good sign. I'm not a scientist, and I don't pretend to be one. But I don't think you have to be a scientist, nor a rocket scientist at that, to understand that two-headed frogs, 4 legs in the back, tails, stubs, these things are not good. Not good. You with Coast to Coast AM. You something through
Well, I think they did dominate the planet for a long time until 1776, because the founding fathers decided to form a new form of government, one that was based on laws that were eternal, and certain rights and people for the aliens explored all of the people that ruled the earth is cool. They didn't like that. So for 242 years, they've been trying to get it back. And we, America, has this, and that's the fight that we see going on right now. Doesn't it still feel there's something wrong? There's a grand force that's out there that needs not just one, they need to capture the souls of the world. I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to win.
You're listening to Our God Somewhere in Time. Tonight featuring Coast to Coast AM from October 9, 1996. wild card line, you're on the air. Hi.
Well, good evening, Mr. Bell. This is Patrick Morgan.
Hi, David.
Say, Mr. Bell, would somebody kindly explain to the American people that the unions support Bill Clinton? So if you will raise your taxes to pay them more money because they've driven all the big industry out of the country, and the only suckers left are the American taxpayers.
Well, I'm not sure how explain to me how a tax hike is going to be funneled to the American worker through the unions or not.
It's not the American workers, it's our civil servants out there. All our unions are civil servant unions. And this is how your
The auto workers union.
no. You're forgetting that a lot of the union support now comes from civil servants.
It does because they're the ones left. Now unions have been defined in the private sector.
Right.
And so
The public sector is out there with their hand out, that's why they're supporting.
I see.
Doesn't make sense either.
Yes, but do you think that accounts for the 21-point difference?
Well, I don't know about that. And could I make another point?
Sure.
Who fights wars for those? When we're done conditioning the American people to fear firearms, and we go to war, you can't wave a magic wand and make them a citizen that goes to defend his country proficient in the use of firearms. So I think this war on guns and conditioning the American people to fear weapons is very dangerous indeed.
That is war on guns. Where are you, by the way?
Portland.
Portland. All right, thank you. War on guns. It is that, isn't it? I got a piece of email from somebody yesterday on the gun discussion. Maybe we'll get to that. Somebody who very much disagrees with me. He's anti-gun, and I thought I would read it. He starts out, I listen to your show often. I have to say, I'm very disappointed in the comments you made this morning about guns. Let me say I don't own a gun. Wife does not own a gun. Parents don't. Siblings don't. Basically, nobody in my family owns a gun. And we're doing just fine and have for generations. I don't imagine I'll ever have a problem driving by a school or raising my children without a gun. Second, your comment about preferring a death by gun over knife is absolutely ridiculous. It is obviously circumstantial. Wouldn't you prefer a cut jugular to a shot in the liver? Well, I don't know. As you said, dead is dead anyway. Don't you think your chances of survival are much greater with a typical knife wound as opposed to a gunshot wound? Why don't you talk to an emergency room doctor before you take another call from some myopic gun lover? Maybe you should talk to an urban cop. Guns indirectly incite violence. Now, there's an interesting line. Tell me that some punk is going to carjack me with a knife. Ooh, many have. Any clown can confidently step up with a gun, but it takes some serious confidence to confront somebody with a knife. Plus, I can defend myself against an attacker with a knife much better than an attacker with a gun. Well, that's certainly true. But you know what, sir? If somebody's coming at you with a knife, you don't have a gun. Hey, how many kids kill themselves or a friend with dad's knife? Well, that's true. Here in Little Pahrump, Nevada, recently, it was a murder by baseball bat. Killed a kid with a baseball bat. You argue it is still easy for a criminal to get an illegal gun, and that these laws only keep law-abiding citizens from obtaining weapons. Prove it. Give me some evidence that it is as easy to obtain a handgun illegally in Canada as it is in the U.S. You can't. Well, I asked a man last night, you recall, from Vancouver, whether if he wanted a gun, could he pick a spot in Vancouver, B.C., and go to a side street somewhere and buy a gun without problem? I said, yes, absolutely. How many people are killed in Canada with handguns? In England, do you know? I don't have the figures in front of me, but I do know it is a small fraction of the number in the U.S. This argument is a rationalization. It is not based in fact. And I find it hard to believe that you really believe it. Of course, bad people will do bad things. But do you really think the country would be worse off with fewer guns floating around? Or what are you afraid of? Your other argument is that people will still be murdered without guns. Not only is this a defeatist attitude, but it is the same as saying people will still die without pollution. So we might as well allow companies to destroy the ozone layer if it means better products, faster cars. Thousands of people die in car accidents every year. So what's the point of all those stop signs? Ludicrous. You say, where does it stop? Should the government take away knives? But I say, where does it stop? Do we start selling grenades next? To which I would respond, no, I'm not in favor of selling grenades. Do we need rocket launchers, flamethrowers? Don't dismiss this. Tell me why it stops at guns. What is so special about that level of violence? Aren't you really believe what you were saying? Are things that bad in your reality that you need a gun? If so, I would suggest that you remove yourself from your current situation, because I can tell you from experience, persons who live happily and comfortably without one. I believe that people can live happily together without any guns. In closing, I think it is inconsistent for you to fear the demise of mankind while simultaneously promoting it by creating a state of alarm in your audience and implying that they arm themselves. It is also irresponsible. These are serious issues that you need to recognize. Your current viewpoint is not objective nor logical. Signed, Jared. Well, Jared, I do utterly and completely disagree with you on every single point. And with regard to my needing a gun, Jared, that is my constitutional right. It is my choice, and it is my belief that I would defend myself with equal force to those who might attempt to harm me. Jared, I'm 51 years old now. I've owned guns all of my life, since I think I was about 12 or 13. Gun owner. And not once, Jared, have I gone rampaging through my neighborhood, my local school zone, my friends, my family. Not once have I threatened anybody with a gun. Not once in a moment of madness have I held my gun contemplating doing some random violence, and I have it for my own protection, Jared, and would not hesitate to use it. And with regard to a knife, or, was it silly? I don't think so. People are killed with knives all the time. And a knife wound is a horrible thing. And a knife, it's just my own personal thing. And I was just sort of commenting, given the choice between being killed by a knife and a gun, I'll take a gun any day. I'd just soon not have a bullet to the liver, but one in the head. If you're going to go quickly, not slow, agonizing death. But, that's just my own personal choice, Jared. I have a particular fear and loathing for knives and sharp instruments and scalpels and cutting devices and that sort of thing. So that's my own personal feeling. However, Jared, if somebody is going to come at me with a knife, I'd just soon have a gun. You know what I mean? Eastern Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Oh, yeah. Mark.
Yes.
Where I heard from a year ago, an incident in Las Vegas. I don't know if it's an urban legend or not. I thought you'd be the person to ask.
Can I take a guess?
Okay, what might it be?
Man goes to the hotel. Man takes woman up to the hotel with him. Gets into the room. Man suddenly is unconscious. Man wakes up in the morning with a missing organ.
Right. Is this for real?
Urban legend.
It is.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm in the medical field and I'm thinking, okay, possibilities of taking and harvesting an organ from a person. We were sitting around talking about the other night saying, well, they didn't kill him. Why don't they just take both in the heart. So because we have a murder charge.
That's true.
It's petty theft if you just take a kitty and leave it in a bathtub.
Yeah, so as the legend goes, he wakes up in a bathtub full of ice with it badly sutured in the center and looks down and goes, oh
Or a note, virus or thing. Call 911.
no. Yeah.
And there's a telephone right there. You call 911. At the end of the 911 operator says, check if you have a damage. You tell what you're getting.
I've got to go, sir. Urban legend.
Oh, thank you very much.
Good morning. This written back in time continues with Art Bell hosting Coast to Coast AM. Or somewhere in time will come out.
Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Come on in, join the party. What sound like I right off the wall? Well, I try driving home here, so go ahead.